We are going to kick it off with the question that started it all. She says, "Good morning, Jackie. I'm thinking about trying I'm thinking about trying my first 36-hour fast in the near future. Would you be able to give me an example of a schedule? I tried to search." Today's a Monday. I'm going to be closing my eating window. I had one meal today. I am having wine afterwards, so it'll be a little longer. I'm going to close my eating window by 9 p.m. and start my 36-hour fast. And this video is all about how to plan a 36-hour fast. I got an Instagram DM. Here it is. It inspired me to make this video, and that's exactly what I'm sharing today. Cheers to my 36-hour fast. And by the way, I just want to show you the cutest wine stopper my husband got in my stocking. Look how cute that is. I absolutely love it. Done. So it's mid-morning. I have my black coffee. I think this is like my third cup. I am going strong. I'm barely into my fast. It's been about only 13 hours now. So a little over a third of the way there. One of the reasons I chose to fully fast today and make this a 36-hour fast is I have 2 podcast interviews. I go live. My daughter has a basketball game that's an hour away. So we have the hour basketball game, an hour drive there, an hour drive back. It's actually going to be much easier not to eat, not to try to fit in a 500-calorie meal, not try to get my family fed and me find something window worthy. I'll have my black coffee happily all day. So busy day, easy for me to fast. That's my personal preference, but I'm excited. So let's go do podcast interview number 2. This video is sponsored by Element. Going to get my kids, and then I'm going to get a Panera. I'm getting iced coffee, and that's my favorite thing to mix the natural Element with. I'm pretty honest. The natural Element is not my favorite flavor. I like the flavors more than the raw, but that's because it's, flavors are good. So I've mentioned a number of times that having Element is a very important part of these longer fasts for me personally. And one great thing about fasting is it's completely free. You do not have to sign up for programs. You do not have to pay for anything. But that doesn't mean there aren't things that could help you. And one thing I learned about 2 years into the journey is when I do longer fasts, electrolyte replenishment helps me with my sore legs. I discovered this actually through comments on my YouTube channels. I was complaining. I did a 72-hour fast, and I had mentioned that one evening the worst part that I was going through was really sore legs, and I didn't really know exactly why, and it was pointed out that maybe replenishing with electrolytes could help me, and I started working with Element, and it 100% cleared up. So that is no longer an issue because I make sure I drink my Element almost every single day, but I always have it when I do a longer fast. So the unfortunate part is when it's a longer fast and it's necessary to have my Element, I don't have the flavors. So I do choose to continue to clean fast. So I add the raw unflavored Element to my longer fast, and that is what we're doing. Iced coffee is my favorite way. Iced coffee or iced tea, maybe I'll get an iced tea today actually, are my favorite ways to have Element when it's the unflavored version. So I will mix it in and I will take that, and then I'll still have 2 hours later before we go to my daughter's basketball game, and I'll probably get another beverage to take there. So whether I get coffee or tea, I'll get the other one after I have my raw unflavored Element. Right now, Element is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single-serve packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or to share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/fastingfoodie. That's DRINKLMNT.com/fastingfoodie. Raw unflavored Element, just like the flavors, has 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams magnesium. There's no carbs, no sugars, no fillers, Just a science-backed formula for electrolytes. Okay, so one thing that I purposely did was I knew I was having a down day today, so I planned it where yesterday I made tomato soup. My family loves it, except for my husband, but he can fend for himself. My kids love it. I got to enjoy it yesterday. That means today I have leftover soup. It makes so much. My kids will still happily eat it, but I don't feel left out of eating something that I love. I know it'll still be there tomorrow if I want some for lunch, so I'm just happily fasting. I have my unflavored element, my iced tea, and then later I'll have iced coffee or decaf coffee or something, sparkling water. But it's less of a nuisance to feed my family leftovers because I got to enjoy this yesterday. Dropping her off, she's gonna go play. We have about a little less than an hour drive there, hour drive back, and her game, so it's an easy night for a down day because I have a lot of time taken with other things. So good luck on your day.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you.
So after I drop her off, I already finished my iced tea. I'm gonna go get hot coffee in here. It was too cold today to drink iced tea. It tasted good, but I can't do another iced beverage, so I'm gonna get decaf coffee. Number 2. Decaf coffee secured. I'm just between 35 and 36 hours fasted, and just like I kind of assumed I would be, I'm feeling really good right now. So I don't generally eat in the morning, and I have no like going out to breakfast with a friend. I don't have any plans that would make it feel worth eating right now, and since I feel so good, I'm just gonna keep fasting until lunchtime and meet my husband for lunch. So even though it is a 36-hour fast, I'm gonna get to 36 hours, and truly the only thing that I want right now is black coffee. That's what I have every morning. It's very ritual driven, it's comforting, it's freezing here and that's warm. So I'm gonna stick with the black coffee and just get more hours into my fast. Is this something that I feel like people have to do? Absolutely not. But I want people to understand that having a goal with fasting doesn't mean you also are like forced to break it at that point. If your goal was 36 hours and you feel really good and you're still able to have an entire up day afterwards, because you do want to make sure you have enough time to nourish yourself. But here I am in the morning. If I eat at lunch, I'll still have time to have lunch and dinner, have a plethora of things in my up day, so I'm not limiting myself. Now, if you get to 3 p.m., and that's when your 36 hours is up, which sounds unlikely because you'd have to stop eating at 3 a.m. 2 days prior. But anyways, even if it was 3 a.m., if it was 3 p.m., you might want to consider breaking your fast then, just so you can have an entire up day. Because if you break it too late, there might be issues of not eating enough. And this is going into a lot. So when you consider a down day of an entire fast, the 36 hours, you do want to make sure you have enough time to eat plenty to refeed. I've learned this concept and I follow it from Fast Feast Repeat, where if you have a down day, you want to make sure you refeed with at least a 6-hour eating window and 2 meals. That's the guide that I learned with and that I follow. I obviously didn't come up with it. There's a lot of information in Fast Feast Repeat about the importance of refeeding. That's where I learned it from, and I have made videos on up days. I will link that at the end of this video if you want more information on an up day, because obviously the 36-hour fast is more about a down day. But I am going to finish getting ready for the day, and I will meet you when I break my fast. I'll show you what I'm breaking it with. It's a homemade frozen meal, and it's super good. Okay, ending my fast finally at 40 hours and 6 minutes. Start with apple cider vinegar. I forgot I had this experiment to do. It's the last day of my continuous glucose monitor. That means even though I really wanted to meet my husband for lunch, sometimes duty calls, and duty today is eating this and testing. Oh well. We are going to kick it off with the question that started it all. She says, "Good morning, Jackie. I'm thinking about trying my first 36-hour fast in the near future. Would you be able to give me an example of a schedule? I tried to search on your YouTube, but it searched all of YouTube instead." And I told her I don't have a video on that. What a great video idea it would be. So here we are. fasting math is important. I talk about it all the time. I talk about it when I have my 18-hour minimums. I don't consider how long my eating window is going to be. I just consider when I need to close my window for when I want to open it the next day. I get my 18 hours in. And it's kind of the same thing with the 36 hours. You have to think of, when do I want to open my eating window? If it's breakfast, say it's 9 a.m., that's how I scheduled this one. You need to start fasting 2 days prior at the p.m. So 9 a.m. means you start fasting 2 days prior at 9 p.m. minimum, and that's going to get you 36 hours. If you don't want to break your fast until noon and you want to get 36 hours, that means you can you can start fasting at midnight 2 days prior, or actually technically the day prior, right at the beginning of the day. So you just have to do the math. A lot of times it is very easy to just say skip the day before, that's 24 hours, and then the AM or PM version of whenever you want to eat. Now, I wouldn't recommend starting at 9 a.m. and then fasting until 9 p.m. the next day, because you're not going to have adequate time unless you work like shift work or you stay up really late, which if you do, cool. So the first consideration is time. It's pretty easy for most during the day times you want to break your fast. You just stop fasting at the PM version of 2 days prior. So another example, 11 a.m., you stop fasting 2 days prior at 11 p.m. Now, there's no issue if you stop fasting at 10 or 9 p.m. of that day. You're just going to get more hours. No one's stopping you if you want to get more hours. So don't forget, you're not stuck. If 36 hours is your goal, but you end up getting 38 or 40, no big deal. Like, cool. The other thing to consider is you don't want to break your 36-hour plus fast too late in the day, because and everything I follow is from Fast, Feast, Repeat. That's where I got this started, and that's what I've been doing. You want to have enough time. You want to have enough time to have a 6-hour eating window minimum and have 2 meals, and that's going to allow you to properly refeed. So you want to make sure that you are not making your body feel like it's starving. If it goes a long time without food and then you don't give it a lot of food, as Jen says in her books, you might have immediate greater weight loss, but overall it can do more harm to your metabolic health. You want to keep your engine revving by properly refeeding it. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a researcher. I just trust the books that I read and make videos. But it's served me really well. So make sure that you're not opening your eating window after 36 hours and you barely have time to eat before you have to go to bed again. This video won't have my glucose results. It just happens that I'm breaking my fast with it. But I have Brussels sprouts, steak, and gnocchi. But there will be an entire video dedicated to the glucose hacks that I've learned and eating. But we're gonna get started. So these questions kind of pop all over the place. I'm just gonna go in order of the screenshots I have, and you will see the screenshots. I have them up on my computer. That's why you can see my computer here. But I thought, okay, do you use salt while fasting? How much, how often? This is actually perfect because I use Element when I'm in my fast. If I do long fast, like an entire day, I always, 100% always now add my Element in, because otherwise I had the leg cramps. We've talked about that, but that's 1,000 milligrams of sodium. I do it once a day while I'm in the middle of the fast. I only use the raw unflavored. I don't put any salt in my coffee or anything because I don't need it when I do the Element. And then the raw unflavored is the only one I use in my fasting window, but that's once a day and it's 1,000 milligrams. I need to start eating. Next question is, what's the benefit of 42 hours versus 36? Is there a benefit? Also, what to eat? Well, we'll go to the next question. Is there a benefit? So the benefit is, once you get into ketosis and you get into autophagy, you're going to be able to just have 6 more hours of doing that. So if at 36 hours you break your fast, there's no shame. You still did an amazing job. But if you go to 42 hours, you're going to have 6 more hours. At that point, I'm assuming you're still feeling good. So make sure you're still feeling good. But you have 6 more hours of autophagy, fat burning, ketosis. As long as you have the time to adequately replenish and refuel, I think it's definitely worth considering. And that's kind of where I was at this morning. I felt really good at 36 hours. I didn't have anything worth breaking my fast for. I wanted to keep going, so I waited until I have a late lunch right now, and I'm at 40 hours. So I got 4 more hours of autophagy and of fat burning. and I just chose to do it. Did I feel compelled? Did I feel like I had to? Was it to meet some metric? No. I just know it's good for me, and I wasn't ready to eat until now. The next question, the same person asked, what to eat to break your fast to avoid nausea? I don't break my fast with anything special when it's under like 48 hours. There's a lot of advice when you do prolonged fast, like 48 hours plus, even 36 hours. Some people kind of consider in that range. I'm obviously not a scientist or a medical professional to give tons of advice, but I follow Thomas DeLauer and Jason Fung's advice when I do longer fasts, steamed or cooked non-starchy vegetables, lean proteins, and like good fats. But when I do like less than 2 days, I don't have any issues with nausea or feeling bad breaking my fast with like a complete meal like this. I don't take any special precautions if it's under 2 days. My longer fasts, I've done like steamed vegetables, which this is actually just air fried Brussels sprouts, and an avocado. But today I'm eating this. I was also asked, do I have trouble sleeping? I sometimes, quite often, if I do an entire day fast, have a hard time falling asleep. However, I don't have a hard time once I'm asleep. So if I have problems, it's falling asleep. I just feel pretty energetic. It's hard for me to get into that sleepy state. Last night, actually, I had no issues, but it's not uncommon, especially when I do longer, like 2 nights where I'm fasting, I'll have a hard time falling asleep. And that's just because when you're in ketosis, you're fueling yourself and you're burning fat for energy, so you feel energized. So I have dealt with that. It's a good time to get extra stuff done. I might stay up later and get work done on my computer, but it is something I deal with. But once I'm asleep, I don't have a hard time staying asleep. Okay, this question goes back to the salt. Are you putting electrolytes in your water? Yes. You guys know Element is sponsoring this video, but I only share them so often because I absolutely love them. If I had tried them and I didn't like them, which there have been lots of things that are offered to me and sent to me, I wouldn't tell you guys, but I love Element. I think they're delicious. The raw natural is not what I'd call delicious, but it's extremely effective in my fasting window. And so yesterday I actually mixed it with I did iced tea yesterday. I like it to mix the raw in my fasting window with iced tea or iced coffee. It's my favorite way to have it. The flavoring, it just isn't pure sodium, but I really love the flavors, and I just can't do that in a 36-hour fast because I'm fasting and I don't do flavors while I'm fasting. But yes, I add electrolytes every single time I do a 36-hour plus fast. There is an electrolyte added, and I started doing that last summer. Definitely recommend. And definitely have Brussels sprouts in my teeth. Last Brussels sprout, then I'm moving on to steak. Now this question might have a better scientific answer, so I'm going off my experience. Please understand. When is a good time in the week, like after a day or two of longer eating windows, is a good time to start a long fast? So this is actually not something I consider. I do not purposely do my longer fast after a certain type of eating. This one was right after an OMAD, and actually there's a question about that, so we'll get to exactly what I ate. But I don't change my protocol before a long fast. Part of me feels like that kind of would defeat the purpose if I ate more to fast more and then to eat more afterwards. I definitely do the refeeding, but I don't feel like I need to give my body more to fast because my body has the fat. I have the fat, I have the hips, the butt, where there is fat stores. So when my body needs fuel, I'm not worried that it's not there. So there's no extra like long eating windows in preparation for a longer fast, especially 36 hours. Really, as you build your flexing, or as you flex your fasting muscle, that is not an extreme amount of time. It doesn't feel that way to me, at least. And again, not medical or professional advice. This is experience. But when I do a 36-hour fast, I keep whatever normal is going on. The only thing that I consider is my personal life schedule. So yesterday I had 2 podcast interviews. I went live. My daughter had the basketball game out of town, so we had like 2 hours of driving and the hour sitting there in the gym. It was a very, very busy day in my personal life, which makes it a very good down day in my opinion. One less thing to think about. So it's very easy to not eat, to have my coffee, my water, my Element. That was it. That is how I choose to do it. I do not like front load. I don't eat a lot beforehand. I don't have longer eating windows. Now, if there's a day where you know you have a longer eating window and you want to structure to have a down day the next day, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it's not something where I think you have to, and I certainly wouldn't treat it like a punishment. For the most part, I do my normal OMAD before a down day, and then I focus on refeeding and having the longer eating window afterwards. And that's all modeled after Fast Feast Repeat. By the way, my new hack that I'm going to be doing on a regular basis is I made bulk steak bites for testing, and they have come out of the freezer amazing every single time. I made them in the air fryer, and I will be doing this from now on, like making 5 dinners worth of steak bites and then freezing them. Perfect. Okay, so there are 2 questions I'm going to read here that I think go together. One is, so you're doing a 0-calorie down day, why? And I think that's asked because I normally do a 500-calorie down day. And then the second question that's very related is, do you feel like a failure when you do a 500-calorie day for a down day as opposed to 0? I struggle with this, and I'm curious to how you approach it. Do you think it makes a difference weight loss-wise? Actually, I have found that doing a down day, whether I eat 500 calories or 0, I don't think it makes a weight difference. I notice I don't weigh myself anymore, so I can't give you like, maybe that would be a great video someday. But comparing, it's just so hard with especially a woman's body. There are days like in my cycle, I'm at different points and I bloat different ways. But seeing personally, I was able to lose weight and continue a weight loss pattern when I had the down day and the up day approach. Whether or not I did a 0-calorie day and a 500-calorie day, I don't feel like a failure when I do 500 calories because I enjoy eating. So I enjoy eating every day. I kind of enjoy the game of making 500 calories. What can I get for the calories? Kind of building an optimum meal for the low calories is fun for me. A lot of times I can make very delicious meals for low calorie. It feels like a game. I get to enjoy eating that day, but I'm still intentionally doing the down day and the up day. I haven't done any like studies of strict comparisons, but I don't think it's made a difference. Both of them have helped me to lose weight and to break a plateau and to continue a weight loss. And now, even though I'm not losing weight, I feel like it helps me to maintain my weight loss. So I continued to do them. For me personally, it is strictly a personal choice of what's going on. Yesterday was too busy for me to add a 500-calorie down day. I haven't done a full fast for a long time, so I decided it was just a good day to do it. But for the most part, I like to eat every day, so the 500 calories is fun. Also, I personally don't have a problem. If I make a 500-calorie meal that I really enjoy, I can get pretty full. I don't have a problem closing my window and stopping eating. If you have a problem where it's harder to stop eating after the 500 calories, it might be a really good idea for you to just not eat at all. And I think that it kind of comes down to personal preference, but I don't feel like a failure. I mainly do choose the 500 calories because I like to eat every day, but some days are so busy, I like knowing that I can go all day without eating and do well. I think they're both very effective tools. Okay, so this question says, at what point did you start to actually feel hunger? So within the 36 hours, I feel really good for the most part. However, because I am a human and we are habitual in nature, when I would normally eat my dinner, when my family had dinner, and when I was preparing dinner, even though I made it much easier on myself, I hit this point where it does feel like I'm hungry, I'm ready to eat, and I just kind of have to get over that hump. That's when I decided to have a fresh decaf coffee from Panera. Having that and driving to the game were good distractions. That's one of the reasons I really like a very distracted day on my down days. Less time to think about it. But when I feel the most hungry is when I would typically eat a meal. So once I got to the 20 to 24 hour mark, I had peaks of hunger. It wasn't the entire time, but that's when I would typically be eating. My body was like, hey, don't we normally do something about this time? And I just politely declined to answer that door, drink, and move on. But it's generally right around the time that I have my eating window. And once I don't respond to the hunger, my body's like, okay, well, I'm gonna get fuel somewhere else. And that's when I imagine it gets to burning fat elsewhere in my body. But the good news is, if you're new to this, if you get to that point where you feel hungry and then you distract yourself, you're not going to feel hungry the rest of the 36 hours. It's not like you're going to get to hour 20 and then have 16 hours of torture. You saw me. I woke up this morning. I felt really good. I was easily able to fast 4 hours longer than the plan of 36 hours up to 40. And now I'm happily eating steak. And the last 36-hour question, what did you eat the day before? So as I mentioned before, I don't front load. I don't try to eat more. I don't do anything. about trying to like bulk myself up so I have a stack of food to get through. Absolutely not. My stack of food is right here. So what I did is a normal OMAD. So whatever happened to be on my OMAD that day, I was intentional in what I cooked, and I did explain that a little bit. I made tomato soup for dinner the night before my fast. And so with that is a large pot that is much more than we need for dinner. My kids love tomato soup, so I knew the next day when I wasn't eating dinner, it would be really easy to give them the leftovers of my homemade tomato soup. And I still made fresh grilled cheese for them, but it was less preparation, less work, and less temptation, if you will. So I had tomato soup, I had grilled cheese, I had pistachios, pepitas, I had some candy and chocolate cake, and I also had wine. So it was a pretty typical OMAD for me. I had snack to open my eating window. I had dinner of the soup and the grilled cheese. I had my dessert of a few candy hearts and the chocolate cake with chocolate or coconut almond milk. So good. And then I had a glass of wine. The only thing I also did was I pushed my eating window up till 9 p.m. I normally wouldn't always keep my eating window open that late. It's not something I never do. But I thought 9 and then 36 hours would be an easy 9 a.m. So I did my fasting math. I did consider that, which allowed me time to have the glass of wine essentially. So that was my eating window.